Welcome back to Xul Podcast, Shooting the Reality. I'm James Caro.
And I'm Emily Lora.
And we are so glad you are joining us for another deep dive
Yeah.
into something that I think we've all struggled with.
Definitely.
How to set priorities and avoid distractions.
Oh, it's the bane of our existence, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all have these grand plans and then life gets in the way and
Yeah, we're drowning in to-dos.
Yes.
But then you find yourself scrolling through your phone instead of tackling that big project.
Exactly. And you know what's so interesting is there's a real science behind this whole fighting distractions thing.
Okay.
It goes way beyond just willpower.
Okay. I'm intrigued. So where do we even begin?
Right.
It feels like time management is like the ultimate hurdle.
It is. And one of our sources, OpenStax, really emphasizes this. They argue that managing time effectively, whether it's in college or just in life, hinges on two things: accurate prediction and disciplined execution.
So it's not just about making a to-do list. It's about realistically estimating how long things are going to take.
Yes.
And then having the focus to stick to your schedule.
Exactly. And it's tougher than it sounds.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely guilty of underestimating how long things actually take.
Right.
And then I'm just scrambling to catch up.
It happens to the best of us. What's interesting is that OpenStax actually gives us some average time estimates for common tasks, like reading a textbook page or studying for an exam. It can be a helpful reality check.
Yeah.
So, for example, did you know that reading a technical page can take twice as long as reading a regular one?
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Those minutes can really add up.
Especially when you're juggling multiple responsibilities.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And this is where understanding your motivations comes into play.
Okay.
Both OpenStax and another source, Elizabeth highlight the importance of identifying what drives you towards success.
Okay.
Elizabeth suggests that different things motivate different people.
Interesting.
So some are driven by rewards, others by the fear of failure, and still others by something else entirely.
So it's really about kind of reflecting on what really motivates you.
Absolutely. What gets you excited to tackle those goals?
That's a great question. I've never really thought about it that deeply before.
Yeah, it's really valuable.
Okay.
Once you understand that driving force, you can leverage it to stay focused and overcome those moments of procrastination.
So let's say we figured out our motivation.
Okay.
What are some practical techniques
Right.
that we can use to actually prioritize tasks and get things done? I'm all about actionable strategies.
Oh, you're in luck because our sources are full of them.
Okay.
Both OpenStax and Elizabeth are big advocates for to-do lists.
Okay.
But not just any lists.
Right. So not just a random brain dump of everything that needs to get done.
Yeah, it's about prioritizing them strategically.
Okay.
So they present a few different methods.
Okay.
You could try the Eisenhower Matrix,
Okay.
which focuses on urgency and importance. The ABCDE method, which ranks tasks from A to E, from most to least crucial. And the 1-3-5 method, which encourages you to focus on one big task, 3 medium ones, and 5 small ones each day.
Wow. Options galore.
Yeah.
So can you break those down a bit further? Like what exactly is the Eisenhower Matrix and how would someone actually use that?
Absolutely. Picture a 4-quadrant grid.
Okay.
You've got urgent and important, urgent but not important, not urgent but important, and not urgent and not important.
Okay.
The key is to honestly assess where each task falls on this grid. So that project deadline looming tomorrow, definitely urgent and important, but responding to that email that could have waited, maybe not so urgent.
So it's about being ruthless with your time.
Yes.
And focusing on what really matters.
Precisely. Now, the ABCD method is all about ranking.
Okay.
A tasks are non-negotiable, got to do them now, priorities.
Okay.
B tasks are important, but can wait a bit. C's tasks are nice to do, but not crucial, and so on.
Yeah.
Now, the 1-3-5 method is great for those who like simplicity. It helps you break down your day into manageable chunks.
Okay.
Ensuring you make progress on a variety of tasks.
These all sound super helpful. I'm already starting to rethink my own to-do list strategy.
That's great to hear. But even with the best laid plans, distractions are inevitable.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
It's like my phone has a magnetic pull, especially when I'm trying to focus.
Elizabeth has a treasure trove of distraction-busting tips.
Okay.
One that really resonated with me is the importance of your environment.
Okay.
Like a clean and organized workspace
Oh, yeah.
can truly lead to a clearer mind.
I am a firm believer in that.
Right.
Clutter creates mental clutter for me. It's
Yeah.
almost impossible to focus
Yeah,
when my desk is a disaster zone.
I hear you. And there are a few other gems from Elizabeth worth highlighting.
Oh, yeah.
Chunking similar tasks together
Cool.
is a great strategy.
Okay.
It harnesses the momentum of focus. You know, once you're in the zone for a particular type of task, you might as well ride that wave.
Yeah, that makes sense. Create like a flow state
Exactly.
for specific types of work.
Exactly. And then there's the power of accountability.
Oh, yeah. Tell someone your goal, and suddenly you're way more likely to stick to it. It's like magic.
It is.
Why does that work, though?
Well, it taps into our innate need for approval.
Okay.
We don't want to let others down.
Right.
So we're more motivated to follow through.
Interesting. So it's like having a built-in support system.
Yeah, it is.
That's a really interesting psychological insight. I never thought about it that way before.
And another source, Adriana Girdler,
Okay.
who speaks from a workplace perspective, offers a couple of really practical tips.
Okay.
She emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with productive people.
Okay, so find your tribe of go-getters.
Exactly. Their habits can actually rub off on you.
It's like a support system for success.
Exactly. And she also highlights this fantastic technique.
Okay.
Write it down and forget it.
Okay.
So the idea is to get those to-dos and random thoughts out of your head and onto paper so you can free up mental space to focus on the task at hand.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's like decluttering your mind.
It really does make a difference. Now, of course, we can't talk about productivity without addressing the mindset piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's not just about the external strategies. It's also about our internal game.
Exactly.
Right. One of our YouTube sources, Canvas of Growth, really emphasized the importance of mindfulness and self-discipline.
And there's a good reason for that.
Okay.
Even just a few minutes of daily mindfulness practice can have a ripple effect on your focus throughout the day.
Okay. But how does that actually work? Does like meditating really make you better at answering emails?
It's not quite that direct, but it's about training your brain.
Okay.
Mindfulness helps improve attention span, reduce stress, and increase self-awareness, all of which are essential for staying on track.
So it's about building that mental muscle for focus and resilience.
Exactly. Now, another big theme that emerged across our sources is procrastination.
Ah, the arch enemy of productivity.
Indeed. And we all have our own procrastination styles. OpenStax offers some practical tips for combating it, such as rewarding yourself for completing tasks, or telling someone about your goal to create that sense of accountability.
Right. Those are good strategies.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like procrastination runs deeper than just needing a reward system.
You're right. And that's where Elizabeth's insights are really valuable. They suggest that procrastination often stems from negative feelings or a fear of failure. This ties back to understanding your motivations. What are you really avoiding and why?
Wow, that's powerful. So sometimes procrastination is a symptom of something bigger going on internally.
Exactly. It's a clue to explore what might be holding you back.
This has been incredibly insightful so far, but for those listeners who are already familiar with the basics and are ready to level up, what are some more advanced strategies that we can explore?
Well, for those who are ready to take their productivity game to the next level, Smartsheet dives into methods that are especially helpful for dealing with complex projects. And talk about chunking in even more depth. And introduce the GTD method, which stands for Getting Things Done. It's a 5-pillar system for achieving true task mastery.
Sounds intense, but probably super effective.
It's definitely a comprehensive approach.
Yeah.
They also highlight Warren Buffett's 2-list strategy, which helps you prioritize your biggest life goals so you don't get sidetracked by less important things.
So you don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Right. It's about aligning your actions with your overall vision.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and forget about that.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up this section, I think it's important to remember the basics.
Right. Sometimes we overcomplicate things.
Yes.
When the simple stuff matters most.
Exactly. UGA extension reminds us that sleep, exercise, and limiting screen time all have a significant impact on our ability to focus. They even cited a Google study that found that improvements in digital well-being led to an overall boost in well-being. So taking care of your tech habits actually contributes to a happier you.
Wow. That's compelling. That's a compelling reason to put down the phone and get some sleep.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I'm already feeling inspired to revamp my entire productivity system.
That's great to hear. It's amazing how a little knowledge and some practical strategies can really empower us to take control of our time and our focus.
Absolutely. Let's recap the key takeaways from our exploration so far. starting with the challenge of time management.
The biggest takeaway there is that time management is a skill,
Right.
not some innate talent.
Okay.
We can all get better at it with practice and the right mindset.
And a big part of that is understanding our personal motivation, right?
Absolutely.
What drives us to achieve our goals?
Yes.
Is it the satisfaction of crossing things off our list, the desire for recognition, or something else entirely?
Exactly. Once we know what motivates us, we can really use that knowledge to our advantage. And then comes the practical side, to-do lists.
Right.
But not just any to-do lists. We need to prioritize them strategically.
We talked about some really useful methods for doing that.
Yeah.
Like the Eisenhower Matrix, the ABCDE method,
Right.
and the 1-3-5 method.
Yeah.
I'm curious, which one resonates most with you?
I personally find the Eisenhower Matrix to be incredibly helpful. It forces me to be honest with myself about what's truly urgent and important so I can avoid getting bogged down in tasks that aren't actually moving the needle.
That makes sense. It's all about focusing on the high-impact activities.
Right. And then, of course, there's the ever-present challenge of distractions. We talked about the importance of creating a supportive environment, a clean workspace,
Right.
minimizing interruptions.
Yeah.
But what about those internal distractions, the ones that pop up even when our surroundings are perfect?
Ah, yes. Those pesky thoughts and urges that derail our focus. Any advice for dealing with those?
Well, remember the write it down and forget it technique.
Yeah.
Getting those to-dos and random thoughts out of your head and onto paper
Yeah.
can really free up mental space.
It's like giving your mind permission to let go
Yes.
of those nagging thoughts, knowing they're captured somewhere safe.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the power of mindset. Mindfulness practices, even just a few minutes a day,
Right.
can have a significant impact on our focus and ability to resist distractions.
I am a big believer in that.
Yeah.
It's like hitting the reset button for your brain,
Uh-huh.
allowing you to approach tasks with more clarity and intention.
Absolutely. And then there's procrastination, that age-old foe. We explored how procrastination can sometimes be a sign of deeper fears or negative feelings.
Right.
So it's important to address those underlying issues
Right.
rather than just beating ourselves up for not getting things done.
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to dig a little deeper to understand the root cause of our procrastination.
And for those who are ready to take their productivity game to the next level,
Okay.
we discussed some advanced strategies. Remember chunking.
Yes. Breaking down large tasks
Yes.
into smaller, more manageable chunks. That seems especially helpful for those complex projects that can feel so overwhelming.
Exactly. And then there's the GTD method, getting things done.
Yeah.
Which is a comprehensive system for achieving true task mastery. It might seem a bit intense at first,
Right.
but it can be incredibly effective for those who are committed to taking control of their workflow.
And we can't forget Warren Buffett's two-list strategy, which helps us stay focused on our biggest life goals and avoid getting sidetracked by less important things.
Right. It's about aligning our actions with our overall vision for our lives.
Right.
But amidst all these sophisticated strategies, it's
Yeah.
crucial to remember the fundamentals.
The basics. Sleep, exercise, limiting screen time. They might seem obvious,
Yes.
but they're the foundation for a healthy, focused, productive life.
Absolutely. They're not just good for our physical health,
Right.
but also our mental well-being. Remember that Google study we mentioned?
Yeah.
Improvements in digital well-being led to an overall boost in well-being.
Okay.
So taking care of ourselves is essential for maximizing our productivity.
Okay. I think we've done a great job of recapping the key takeaways from our deep dive so far. But now I'm curious, what stood out the most to you? What's one insight or strategy that you're going to try to implementing in your own life?
That's a great question. I think for me, it's the idea of energy management.
Energy management.
Yeah. We often focus on managing time, but what if we shifted our attention to managing our energy levels throughout the day?
That's a fascinating perspective. Tell me more.
Well, imagine if we prioritized tasks that energize us
Okay.
and minimize those that drain us. We'd not only get more done,
Right.
but also feel more fulfilled and engaged in the process.
That's a game changer. It's not just about productivity. It's about finding a sustainable rhythm that aligns with our natural energy flows.
I love that.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's something I'm definitely going to be exploring more in my own life.
Yeah.
What about you? What resonated with you the most?
Yeah, that idea of energy management, it's really powerful. It's like a whole new layer to productivity that I hadn't considered before.
Yeah.
We often think about getting things done, but how often do we actually consider how those tasks make us feel? Are we energized and engaged or drained and depleted? It's Such a good point. And it ties back to what we were talking about earlier, understanding our motivations, recognizing those deeper feelings that might be driving our behaviors. If we can tune into how different tasks affect our energy, we can make more conscious choices about how we structure our days.
It's almost like a mindfulness practice in itself, paying attention to those subtle shifts in energy throughout the day. I'm curious, what are some practical ways we can start incorporating this energy management approach?
Well, for starters, I think it's helpful to just become aware of our own energy patterns. When are we most alert and focused? When do we tend to experience those afternoon slumps? Once we have a better understanding of our natural rhythms, we can actually schedule our tasks accordingly.
So if you're a morning person, you might tackle those high-energy creative tasks first thing in the day and save the more mundane or administrative tasks for later when your energy might naturally dip.
Exactly. And it's also important to be mindful of how different activities affect our energy levels. For some people, social interaction can be incredibly energizing.
Yeah.
While for others, it might be more draining.
Right.
The key is to listen to our bodies and make choices that align with our individual needs.
I love that. It's about personalizing our productivity strategies rather than trying to fit into a one-size-fits-all mold. And it's not just about the tasks themselves, right?
Right.
Our environment, the people we surround ourselves with, even the food we eat,
Oh, yeah.
can all impact our energy levels.
Absolutely. Creating a supportive environment is essential. This might include things like ensuring we have adequate lighting, comfortable seating, a clutter-free workspace. And as Adriana Gridler pointed out, surrounding ourselves with positive and productive people can have a contagious effect
Oh, yeah.
on our own energy and motivation.
It's amazing how interconnected all of these elements are. It's not just about finding that one magic bullet for productivity. It's about creating a holistic approach
Yes.
that encompasses our mindset, our environment, and our daily habits.
I couldn't agree more. And it's a journey, not a destination. As we learn and grow, we can continually refine our strategies and make adjustments as needed. What's most important is that we approach productivity with a sense of self-compassion and a willingness to experiment.
That's such a great point. It's not about striving for some unattainable level of perfect productivity. It's about finding what works for us as individuals and making gradual, sustainable changes. So as we wrap up this deep dive on how to set priorities and avoid distractions, what's one final piece of advice you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing is to just remember that you are in control. You have the power to choose how you spend your time and energy. Don't be afraid to experiment with different strategies. Listen to your body's cues and create a system that supports your unique needs and goals.
That's fantastic advice. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once. Start small, make one change at a time, and celebrate those victories along the way. Before we sign off, I just want to say a huge thank you to our amazing listeners for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and maybe even a little life-changing.
And as always, we would love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, your biggest takeaways, and the one change you're going to make in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to Xul Podcast, shooting the reality so you never miss a deep dive.
We're on a mission to make knowledge accessible and fun, one episode at a time.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.